Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I hope everyone had a wonderful weekend and a great day today. I'm telling you, the weather was just beautiful, and I'm so thankful for that. It's been quite cold this past week. So I was happy to see such a nice day, especially on a Sunday. Thank you all for joining. My name is Antoinette. I am the host of Parenting After Dark. This is my podcast where I'm on talking to parents of teens. Yes, teens. And we've been talking the last couple of weeks. My new series is called Heart Talks. And we've been talking the last couple of weeks just about things that have been challenging or are challenging to those parents who are parenting teens. And last week I talked a little bit about a few things, but this week I kind of wanted to really continue the conversation around the connection. One of the things that, when it comes to parenting teens, that I have found, myself, but just in general, is that it always seems like there's this friction there. Like we're getting on their nerves, they're getting on our nerves. We don't know what to say. They know what to say all the time. They're saying it all the time. There's a lot of back and forth. And that's to say the least, right? There are other issues and things that come into play. But what I really wanted to talk about tonight was what is something or some things that hinders parents from really connecting with their teens. It seems like once they become teenager, like they become this whole other person, which technically, to some degree, yes, they do, because as I had mentioned before, they are emerging into adulthood. They are going into adulthood. So there's a lot of things that are happening physically, emotionally, mentally, right, with them. And it's all kind of happening kind of fast. And so, just thinking about that, a lot of times, you know, I've noticed, parents, and including myself, you just seem like at a loss. You just seem like, what do I do? How do I fix this? How do I, get past this? Or you think, I can't wait until they are 18 or, they're adults and then, they're out of my hair. But the reality is that, believe it or not, and I said this before, teens want their parents to be in their lives, to be, attentive and understanding, right? It doesn't always appear that way. A lot of times, you know, most of the time they are, kind of bucking up against that, right? They are, really, you know, trying to discover or figure things out. And sometimes it feels like the parents get in the way of that because we used to being in their lives and making decisions and stuff, so to kind of step back from that could be a little challenging on the parents part. And then for the teen, it's like, would you give me a break already, right? So I thought it would be a good idea to really start having these conversations, these heart talks with parents, to kind of help give support, to help give some guidance, something that can help them, to navigate this difficult time, but also to give an understanding as to, what your role is now as a parent, because parenting changes, right? Through every stage of development, it changes. So during the teen years, and I had mentioned this in one of my earlier episodes, I think it was during your village. It takes a village. When I was doing that series, that For the most part, we are, as parents, coming alongside of our teenagers, right? We are more guiding and helping them to exercise this autonomy that they are so badly wanting and that they are, so badly desiring. And so the reality is that, it's hard to step aside and to allow, our children to make mistakes, and we need to let it happen. We need to allow them the grace, right? We need to allow them the opportunity to make their share of mistakes. There are a lot of things that, we have learned, right, as parents through trial and error. And so the reality is that for our teens, we need to extend them that grace. And that's kind of hard because I know for me, I was so busy trying to prevent my daughter from getting hurt, prevent her from, experiencing certain things because I knew that it wouldn't be good. But, I didn't realize the other side of that where, there were some things that I experienced, not even as a teen, but just as a parent, that, it taught me something. It taught me something when I didn't listen or when I didn't take someone's advice or, when I made the wrong choice. That lesson taught me something. And the reality is that, you know, it was a lesson that I needed to learn. And it helped me not to make further mistakes. And I thought as a parent, if I can help her navigate what to do and not to do in order for her not to make mistakes, in order for her not to, experience, bad things or whatever, then that was great. In actuality, that is not. I didn't know that then. I recognized and understood later. And I'll give you a prime example of that. So she graduated high school, and I just thought she was just going to go straight to college. And that wasn't the, well, it kind of was the plan, but she had wanted to delay that. But I kept, I was pushing. I was like, no, you really need to go because if you take a break, you know, then, before you know, it'll be a year or 2 years and you haven't gone. You should go right after. And so she did. She listened and went right after and didn't do well at all. And sort of like I would say the second semester, that's when it hit me. I have got to just like step back and let her make the decision, to when she wants to go to college. And so I did. When she didn't enroll for that fall semester of the following year, I was okay with it. I was concerned because I was like, okay, what now? I know that she can't, be as successful if she doesn't go to college. I'm thinking all the right things you're supposed to think of. But I didn't stop to think that maybe her decision to delay that was actually the best choice for her. So she didn't enroll the following year. And the next semester, spring semester, I had, just said, you know what? It's fine. She's not going to go. If she finds another avenue or finds another way in which she wants to go, I'm going to respect that. And it was really hard because I thought, you have to listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. But I had to step back and allow her. So I did. And she did a couple other things. She worked. She did other couple of personal projects that turned out really well. And she got into face painting and, she got into these other creative, artistic forms of expression. And I was like, okay, so my daughter wants to, you do face painting. she'll be a clown, and I'm going to love her, just the same. I'm going to respect her decision, and, maybe I'll just have to invest in face painting, or, if she wants to go to certain classes or whatever, I'll invest in that. And all the while, I just had these feelings like, oh my God, like, what is going on? But I allowed her the grace. I allowed her the time. And what I realized is that during this time, she was basically, discovering what she wanted to do and how she wanted to do it. Or, she was kind of thinking about different areas in which, she would like to go into. And she found this one area with really bringing joy and laughter and encouragement to children. And she actually was doing great with it. I mean, she had, these young kids encouraged those who were going through bullying and self-esteem issues and all kind of other issues. She was able to put on this face paint and talk to these kids and encourage their hearts, encourage their little souls. And I mean, when I say encourage, she shared some of it with me of the testimonies of them feeling heard and seen and accepted by this young woman who they didn't know, but she was able to speak to them. And it was one of the most powerful things that I had experienced in my life. And I would have thought, who would have known, you know? And as time went on, she continued, but eventually that ended because the um, app or whatever that she was using, they wind up, shutting down and selling off. And from that, she decided, I know where I want to go. I know the college I want to go to. And she just kept confessing it and saying, I want to go to this college. This is what God is telling me to do. And the spring of like a year later, so now we're looking at maybe 2.5 years later after college, she was like, Mom, I'm going this year. And that was like in February. And in August, she had gotten her acceptance. We had we had got a wonderful, this was amazing. She had received a couple of scholarships, so we were looking at $20,000, and that dropped down to 10, then 5, and then all she had to pay at the end of all the scholarships and money that they got was $500. And she went and she started school, and I never had to talk about grades. What are you doing? How are you doing? Are you doing well? What do you focus on? Because she did it when she was ready, but at that same time, she followed her heart. And in following her heart, I had to respect that. I had to respect that she knew what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. And it was the first time as a parent when I was like, so this is what this looks like. When they are encouraged and motivated from within, when they are in tune, when they are allowed that grace to make mistakes, when they are allowed that grace to grow and to think and to do everything on their own, they do it well. And she did it well. She wound up going, and having a great GPA. She had a wonderful experience. And even then, it was challenges, but because she was at that place where she was ready to do it, the challenges came, but she was able to handle them with grace. And I'm telling you that, like, it was like the next 3 years were phenomenal. And she wound up graduating, and it was just awesome. And so I say that to say this: a lot of times we as parents, we have expectations, and we have, the idea of, we know what's best. But At a certain point, we have to stand back and allow them to know what's best and allow them to make that choice, allow them to make that decision. And so I want to just encourage that, because one of the things that can definitely interfere with our relationship with our children, especially during the teen years, is fear. Fear that they're going to miss the mark, right? And they're going to miss it so bad, like they may never recover. No. And even if that were the case, they will recover and they will learn from it, they will grow from it, and they will move on. I realize now that a lot of my fears were, again, to protect her from getting hurt, to protect her from experiencing a lot of bad things in life. But that's just not practical. If we look at nature, a lot of times, and I love looking at PBS and National Geographic and all these things that do these series on particular species of animals. And you'll be surprised how in tune the parents of these animals are. They realize, okay, the environment that they're in, that their young have to learn how to hunt, how to hide, how to, be still and be patient. And it's always incredible to see them, teaching this without using, like, language in that sense of verbal language, but they're using body language. They're using certain sounds or whatever. And so, so oftentimes, I was like, I got to do this, and if, or she doesn't get it, like I had the, for some reason, I had this idea of thinking that if I don't teach her every lesson, oh my God, she's not going to survive. I have to teach her every lesson, and that's not practical. There's going to be lessons that I can't teach her, that she has to learn on her own through her own choices and through her own decisions. And that's not our job to teach them every lesson. That's not our job to protect them from everything. It's not practical. And so I wanted to just share that with you tonight, that one decision that I saw when I stepped back and say, okay, whether you go to college or not, I'm here for you. I'm going to be supportive. And that was even really hard, because I was like, what if she ends up on the couch? She never does anything. She had some nice jobs in between, but it was still like, it, to me, it wasn't enough. But to her, she was great. She was making decisions about her life and the jobs that she wanted with such ease. She was like, no, I don't want that job because, when I did the interview, there were certain things that they said. I mean, like, she was like hitting it. She was in tune. She knew what she wanted, how she wanted. She had this creative side that she was developing in, that she was creating all these things and ideas that she wanted to do as an artist, in fashion, even to some degree in music. And so I allowed her to have that expression. I allowed her to explore. In my mind, I thought, because, okay, as an adult, I know better, but yeah, they know better too. And they have ideas and stuff like that. And we have to learn, as parents, to respect that they know and that they understand. Are they going to know and understand all the time? No. And by sure, I mean, like, they will come and ask. They will say, hey, I need help with this or whatever. But we need to allow them that grace. We need to allow them, you know, that period of letting them actually make choices. And not just in their life, as person, but career choices, relationship choices, choices with friends. And that's really hard because we know the world and what it is, but they have to live in that world and they're not going to always have us there. They're not going to always have that voice of reason. And believe it or not, if we've been pouring into them since they were little, if we've been giving wisdom and sharing wisdom, then they hurt us because it comes back to them at the time and when they need it. And so I hope that was encouraging to you. I want to really continue on this. I don't know how long I'm going to do this series, but I want to continue to do it because I know that it's important in this day and age that we're living in now, with all that's going on. You know, we need to be there to be supportive of our children. We need to be there to give that, that shoulder or that support in whatever way that suits them the best. And so, thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you really got something from this. I would encourage you to just take time to do some personal reflection. What are some of the fears that you have? Talk to your kid, talk to your teen. One of the things that really helps to build a relationship and connection, and we do this when we're dating, we do this with sisters or friends, is that we are transparent. We're transparent about our feelings and what we really feel and what we really believe and what we really think, right? And I think our teens need to hear that. Instead of them hearing, our complaints or our disappointment or whatever, they should hear what we really think or feel. And in a way that's respectful, in a way that's, says that, I'm sharing this with you because I want you to know how much I love you and that I'm here for you. I want you to take a minute and, think about what I say and, or what I'm saying and, you know, see if it rings with you, if it, if it vibes with you, and just encourage them. And if they don't take it, if they don't, really respond, then that's okay. They heard you. Believe me, they heard you. So I want you to have a great week. I'll see you next week. We'll continue with episode 4 on Heart Talks. Have a great week. And most of all, okay, if you have questions too, please email me at number one, the number parentingafterdark at gmail.com. If you have questions, you have concerns, if you have tips to share with other parents, things and maybe that worked for you in parenting your teens, please share with me. Follow us on Facebook at Antoinette Clay, Parenting After Dark, and also subscribe, and like my YouTube page. Have a great week and take care.